glad to be here and really glad to see so many of you here. And this forum is going to be about what's new with MGL Avionics, a little bit of an overview of all the products that we have, and then the main focus of this forum is a little bit of a screen design tutorial. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But great to see all of you here, and I know some of you have seen this before, and it's great to just get more familiar, and I know some of you are power users, so that's great as well. So just to start with what's new with MGL Avionics. Obviously we have a pretty wide variety of products. We have a large screen, touchscreen ethos. We were the first company in the experimental market to come out with touchscreen ethos. And we were also one of the first companies to have a modularized system that really favors the home builder. A lot of avionics out there, the average home builder wouldn't go near because of the amount of installation that's required and the amount of wiring and planning. We've always been geared very much towards the home builder. And obviously when you're building experimental airplanes, there's certain things that you want to experiment with, certain things that you want to be absolutely, have good integrity. So we try to keep the installation simple so that you can install it yourself and feel pretty confident in the integrity. Other products we have are small screen engine monitors and primary flight displays, the Extreme, which you can see in the middle of the left side over there. And these are great affordable instruments that offer primary flight information, airspeed, altitude, attitude, and then also offer engine monitoring. A lot of the other products on the market will just do primary flight, airspeed, altitude, and attitude. But won't get into the engine monitoring because that's something that's for the home build market, not for the experimental, not for the certified market as much. Below that little Extreme on the left there, you can see the iBox, and that's the heart of the IEFA system. It's basically the heart of all the sensory inputs that come into the system, including the pitot-static and the GPS, and including all the RS-232 devices. And then something which we pioneered, and some have tried to copy in different ways. The bottom middle is the RDAC, the Remote Data Acquisition Computer, which is the home builder's dream because you mount it near the engine, run all your engine sensors to that this engine box, and then just power and ground to that box and a 2-wire CAN bus from that box to any of the avionics that you've got that are MGL Avionics. And we have these little screw-in friction connectors, which means if you change a sensor out, like an EGT that breaks, it's as simple as removing the EGT from the exhaust, unscrewing the little friction connectors, pulling the sender out, and then replacing it. So even though some of the other manufacturers have come out with similar engine boxes, a lot of them do have D-sub connectors that go inside the passenger compartment of the airplane. And if you have to replace the sensor, you still have to get into that wiring harness and dig a little deeper. So we try to make ours more serviceable. And that's what the RDAC is for. And let's just page the next page. We've had a pretty large range of products over the years. Our Enigma was one of the original ones. We did sell quite a few of those in the early days. And that was kind of when, just before Dynon came out with the GPS on their system. So it was in the very early days. When you look at them now, they look pretty old-fashioned, and their pixels are gigantic. But they were great for the time, and there's still many aircraft flying with those Enigmas. And then, of course, our Odyssey and Voyager systems. There's still many airplanes. My airplane's still flying with that system, and it works great. It doesn't have a touch screen, but it does a great job. This is an IEFA typical installation. You can see on the top left there's a couple of servos, and they are connected by a CAN bus to the iBox. A little bit further down we have an ELT that's connected by RS-232. We have an ADS-B that's connected by RS-232. We have the two screens which are connected to the iBox top right via the IEFIS LAN, which is a coaxial data connection. And then we have ARINC, which is used for connecting GTN 650s and older 430s, etc. And there you can see our RDAC bottom right, which all the engine centers connect to. So this just kind of shows a typical installation with all the different devices you can have connected to it. And of course, we've tried to be compatible with all of the newer ADSP devices and transponders that we think our builders will want. This is our website. On our website, you can find a lot of information, especially if you click on the support button at the top of our website. And I'll try to bring it up if we can get some internet. But our knowledge base is a repository of all of our manuals. We have quite a large number of manuals for all of our products. For example, for the IEFIS, there's an IEFIS manual, there's an iBox manual, there's an SP7 attitude sensor manual, SP6 compass sensor manual, an RDAT manual. So there's a lot of different manuals, and because of the interchangeability of our products, so some find that a little frustrating. To remedy that, just go to our knowledge base, click on support, go to our knowledge base, and just search for what you're looking for. And all of the relevant manuals are searched in that search, and they'll bring up the data. Another trick is if you search Google, it'll search all of our manuals via our knowledge base, and it'll bring up the correct manuals that you want, including separate knowledge base articles that we have produced to try to make it a little clearer on how to install things. Because we definitely we have more options than just about anyone. We try to accommodate a wide variety of needs. For example, we accommodated a 9-cylinder radial or a twin-engine experimental way before anyone else. So because of that, we have different options that you can use, like using 4 RDACs, which, a few others have copied since, but which makes the number of setup parameters and options that you have vastly greater. So for that reason, it is a little bit trickier to find what you're looking for. But go to mglavionics.com, click on support, go to the knowledge base, and search for what you're looking for, like how to connect a Ray Allen trim sensor to my system, and it'll come up with the correct information. What's new for 2019? Our range of color singles, and I don't want to make this too much of a sales spiel. We're here to talk about the screen design, but this is just an overview, so everyone knows what we're doing. Our color singles, our 2¼ Vega color singles, the full line is filled out in 2019. We launched them in 2018. And we have a wide variety of color instruments that are used for primary and for backup. For example, that's actually a picture on the top right of our engine monitor. It's a 2¼ inch color engine monitor that does RPM, oil temp, oil pressure, CHTs, EGTs, and even fuel functions. And it's all in one small package. So there's really something for anyone. If you have limited panel space or want a comprehensive engine monitor, you can use the little EMS1 it's called, and you can even connect an RDAC to it. If you have an 6-cylinder engine, you could connect an RDAC to this little instrument and then connect 6 EGTs and 6 CHTs and have them all display on a tiny little 2¼ inch screen. We have attitude instruments, we have hedostatic instruments, airspeed, altitude, vertical speed. And then in the larger size, we have all of the same instruments. So you can see the EMS2 on the top left. That's just a 3⅛ inch version of that comprehensive engine monitor that can be used with or without an RDAC. So if you only had a need to monitor a few EGT and CHT channels, you could connect all of the RPM, oil temp, oil pressure, EGTs and CHTs directly to the discrete inputs in the back of this instrument. If you want to add more sensor inputs, then you add the RDAC. RDAC is about $335, so it adds some expense, but it makes it an extremely powerful, compact, comprehensive engine monitor. And you can see here, 12-channel thermocouple monitor, bottom right, hedostatic instrument, center middle, AMRs instruments, you have to add the attitude sensor for those. Fuel computers. So we have a full range of color, 3 1/8 inch and 2 1/4 inch instruments. Very, very comprehensive range. The other new instruments that have come on the market this year are our comm range. We have a V16 10-watt remote comm radio, and then we have an N16 remote nav radio. And we have 2 different control heads. These are both remote radios. They look like the device on the right. And then we have 2 comm heads. One is called the Razor, and it's a touchscreen square instrument that fits in a round 3 1/8 inch hole. And the other is the Vega control head, which is a 2 1/4 inch instrument with no touchscreen. It's got 2 knobs instead of the 1 knob on the Razor. And both these instruments can be used to control either a comm or a nav, or in the case of the Razor, both. So it's a great system. You can have as many control heads as you want. Once again, MGL trying to fill the gap with the needs of people building pretty special airplanes. If you had a tandem airplane, you could have one V16 comm, and you could have one control head in the front and one control head in the back. And both the front seat guy and the back seat guy get to set the frequency on the radio, flip-flop, set the volume, load frequencies, and a side-by-side airplane, you can have a control on each side, depending on the configuration, so that both pilots have access to the radio display or the radio tuning. The options that allows for are great, and we've tried to make it as flexible as possible, so you can add as many control heads as you like, and then you can also add a comm radio or a nav radio or both to the same network. And if you have both of them, then you need a separate Vega controller for each one, the small controller. If you would like to have them both on one controller, you can have the Razor, and you can have a comm and a nav. The nav radio display, if you spend some time playing with it at our booth, you'll start to understand how it works, but it's pretty amazing. With one nav radio, with an active and a standby frequency, we display the standby. So you can tune 2 VORs and have them both up on the screen at the same time, which not a lot of others do. So we monitor and quickly switch between those 2 frequencies and display the data. Same goes with an ILS. You can have one ILS loaded in primary frequency, and you can have a VOR in the secondary, and you can get a crossfix on the approach all on one display at the same time. And you could have, in the case of the Razor, like I said, the bigger one, you could have the common frequencies at the top, and you could have an active and standby nav on the bottom, so 2 VORs or an ILS and a VOR at the same time. And this makes it experimental legal for IFR using VORs and ILSs. So if you want to be able to file IFRs, you have all the other equipment required, except for an IFR navigator. You can add the MGL N16 nav radio plus one of those heads, and you can legally fly approaches and use VOR for en route navigation. So that is a pretty sweet deal. The nav radio is only $735. The comm radio is only $750, and the heads are $245 and $395, depending on the size of each select. And by the way, feel free to jump in with questions. We'll keep this real casual anytime you want. Incidentally, the nav radio and the comm radio communicate with the MGL EFIS, the IEFIS, by RS-232, so you can control them entirely from the IEFIS without having a control head if you so desire. Or you could have both a control head and direct EFIS control. And of course, CDI and localizer glide slope transfer to the EFIS from the nav radio, and all the frequencies from the comm and the nav radio display on the IEFIS. So they're totally remote controllable by the IEFIS or by the Razor and Vega heads, or both, and any number of control heads. The control heads also output SL30 and SL40 data, so we've got quite a few people buy the N16 nav radio with one of our control heads so that they can send the data to a Garmin EFIS or a Dynon EFIS and have all the CDI information on the EFIS and use it for IFR.